Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Namaskritya Naram Chev Narot Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Virye Nashtu Prayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavatasya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhakter Bhavati Nashtiki. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, Chapter 21, Lord Krishna's explanation of the Vedic path, text number 27 onwards. So Krishna was, yesterday we discussed how Krishna was talking about all the Karma Kanda, the benefits it's talking about in the Vedas, doing various Karma Kanda activities, and how the Vedas entice its followers with so many flowery languages, so that they can get attracted to doing the yagyas or rituals mentioned in the Vedas. So at least they start somewhere. Text 27. Kamina kripana lubdha pushpeshu fal buddheya agni mukdha dhumdanta swam lokam na vidantite. Those who are full of lust, avarice, and greed mistake mere flowers to be the actual fruits of life. Bewildered by the glare of fire and suffocated by its smoke, they cannot recognize their own true identity. So those attached to female association become proud separatists, desiring everything for their personal gratification and that of their lady friends. They become greedy misers, full of anxiety and envy. Such unfortunate persons mistake the flowery statements of the Vedas to be the highest perfection of life. The word Agni Mugdha, bewildered by fire, indicates that such persons consider Vedic fire sacrifices, awarding material benefit, to be the highest religious truth, and thus they merge into ignorance. So Agni Mugdha, bewildered by fire. So they consider Vedic fire sacrifices. This is the highest truth because it awards material benefit. Rest doesn't care. They don't care. Fire produces smoke which obscures one's vision. Similarly, the path of fruitive fire sacrifices is cloudy and obscure, without clear understanding of the spirit soul. The Lord here clearly states that fruitive religionists cannot understand their actual spiritual identity, nor do they realize the general shelter of the spirit soul in the kingdom of God. So just following the Vedas to get to higher planets, heavenly planets, and enjoy, this is not the goal of life. And they cannot, and their vision is all obscured, all cloudy. They cannot understand the real truth. Lord Krishna states in Bhagavad Gita, Vedasya sarve raham vedya. All Vedic knowledge is actually meant to lead one to pure love of God. Lord Krishna is certainly the absolute truth, and to love him is the ultimate purpose of our existence. The Vedic knowledge patiently tries to bring the conditioned soul to this perfection of pure Krishna consciousness. Nate mamanga jananti hritistham yaidam yata ukta shastra hi asu tripo yatha nihara chakshusha. My dear, the persons dedicated to sense gratification obtained through honoring the Vedic rituals cannot understand that I am situated in everyone's heart and that the entire universe is non-different from me and emanates from me. Indeed, they're just like persons whose eyes are covered by fog. The word Ukta Shastra refers to the chanting of certain Vedic hymns by which one obtains fruitive results in this world and the next. The word Shastra also indicates a weapon, and thus Ukta Shastra also means the weapon used in Vedic sacrifice to kill the sacrificial animal. Persons exploiting Vedic knowledge for bodily gratification are slaughtering themselves with the weapons of materialistic religious principles. They also compare to those trying to see within a dense fog. The false bodily concept of life, in which one ignores the eternal soul within the body, is a dense fog of ignorance that blocks our vision of God. Lord Krishna therefore begins his instructions in Bhagavad Gita by clearing away the dense ignorance of the bodily concept of life. Religion means laws of God. If Lord's final order or law is that every conditioned soul surrender unto him, learn to serve and love him, and thus go back to Godhead. This is the process of Krishna consciousness. So much of fog, or eyes are covered with so much of fog. But one fog is very, very dense. Like these days you are experiencing in Delhi. It's very, very dense. Cannot see further. But one good quality of fog is, as soon as sun is up, the fog is dissipated. So similarly, although this fog, which is covering our eyes of materialistic religious principles or these sacrifices mentioned in the Vedas, it is covering our eyes. But as soon as we get the vision of God or knowledge, so the sun of knowledge, as soon as it rises, the whole fog is gone. Immediately it is gone. So that knowledge is important, that who are we? Why we are working so hard to give this body some comfort? Only goal of life is sense gratification. Khao pio jio. No. That's not the goal. Cannot be the goal. Te me matam abhigyaya paroksham vishayatmaka hinsayam yadi ratasya yagya evana chaudana hinsa vihara hyalabda pashubhi swa sukheche yajante devata yagya itri bhutpati nikhala. Those who are sworn to sense gratification cannot understand the confidential conclusion of Vedic knowledge as explained by me. Taking pleasure in violence, they cruelly slaughter innocent animals in sacrifice for their own sense gratification and thus worship demigods, forefathers, and leaders among ghostly creatures. Such passion for violence, however, is never encouraged within the process of Vedic sacrifice. Such passion for violence of cruelly slaughtering of innocent animals. Let's see what says in purport. The Vedic scriptures sanction occasional animal sacrifice to satisfy cruel, low-class men who cannot live without the taste of flesh and blood. Occasional. And in fact, it is mentioned that one who wants to eat lower animals, they can sacrifice on the new moon night, Amavasya night, and then offer it to Kali and then eat. Kali is expansion of Durga Ji. So she doesn't eat all this meat and whatever nonsense offerings. She just gives them to ghosts. But the point is, those who still want to taste the flesh and blood, they should at least follow this injunction. So slowly, some lifetime, they can rise up to the real level of understanding. Such concessions, however, are restricted by rigorous obligatory rituals and are meant to gradually discourage animal killing, just as the exorbitant cost of a liquor license restricts the number of retail outlets selling alcoholic beverages. Such unscrupulous persons misconstrue such restrictive sanctions and declare that Vedic sacrifice is meant for killing animals in order to enjoy sense gratification. Being materialistic, they desire to attain the planets of the forefathers or demigods and thus worship such beings. Sometimes materialistic persons are attracted to the subtle lifestyle of ghosts and worship ghostly creatures. These methods constitute gross ignorance of the Supreme Personality of God, who is the actual enjoyer of all sacrifice and austerity. The demons perform Vedic sacrifice but are inimical to Lord Narayan, for they consider the demigods, the forefathers, or Lord Shiva to be equal to God. Although understanding the authority of Vedic rituals, they do not accept the ultimate Vedic conclusion and therefore never surrender to God. Thus, false religious principles flourish in the demoniac societies of the animal killers. Although in countries like America, people outwardly profess to be followers of God alone, actual worship and glorification is offered to innumerable popular heroes such as entertainers, politicians, athletes, and other equally insignificant persons. Animal killers, being grossly materialistic, are inevitably attracted to the extraordinary features of material illusion. They cannot understand the real platform of Krishna consciousness or spiritual life. But this is true all over the world. People just don't want to come to understand what is spiritual life. They're just like, this life is all in all. That's it. Let's eat, drink, and be merry, whether it is drinking of liquor and eating of meat and gambling and illicit relationships. That all goes on. Swapnopamam mamum lokam asantam sharavana priyam ashisho hriday sankalpya tyajyanti arthana yatha vanik. Just as a foolish businessman gives up his real wealth in useless business speculation, foolish persons give up all that is actually valuable in life and instead pursue promotion to material heaven, which, although pleasing to hear about, is actually unreal, like a dream. Such bewildered persons imagine within their hearts that they will achieve all material blessings. All over the world, people are working hard to achieve perfect sense gratification in this life or the next. As eternal living beings, part and parcel of Lord Krishna, we are naturally endowed with all bliss and knowledge in the association of God. But giving up this exalted position of spiritual bliss and knowledge, we foolishly waste our time pursuing the phantasmagoria of bodily happiness, just like a foolish businessman who squanders his real assets in imaginary business ventures that deliver no real profit. So here in the shloka, the heavenly enjoyment is compared to, is said it's actually unreal, like a dream. Well, it is unreal in the sense because it's not the real happiness that we are looking for. It's not. So it's like a dream because dream doesn't last for too long. And it's just there for just some time. And it doesn't give full pleasure to the soul either. Raja Sattva Tamo Nishtha, Raja Sattvam Tamo Jusha, Upasatindra Mukhyana, Deva Dina, Yatheva Mam. Those established in material passion, goodness, and ignorance worship the particular demigods and other deities headed by Indra, who manifest the same modes of passion, goodness, or ignorance. They fail, however, to properly worship me. So Krishna is saying the people, they are in mode of passion, ignorance, goodness, material. They just worship different demigods. Although the demigods are part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of God, demigod worship fosters a false idea that the demigods exist apart from the Supreme Lord. Such worship is avidhipurvakam, or an improper approach to the absolute truth. Srila Madhvacharya quotes from the Harivansha that among those primarily in the mode of ignorance, there are sometimes manifestations of passion and goodness. Ignorant persons possessing a tendency towards goodness may go to hell, but are also allowed a little heavenly pleasure. Thus, it can be seen that a man suffering in miserable financial or political conditions sometimes enjoys the company of a beautiful wife, though his general condition is hellish. So those in ignorance, mixed slightly with passion, simply go to hell. And those purely in the mode of ignorance glide down to the darkest region of hell. Those devoid of devotion to the Supreme Lord are in ignorance in these three categories. Sometimes persons situated in the mode of goodness accept the supremacy of the Supreme Lord, but are more attracted to the demigods, believing that through Vedic rituals they can achieve the same standard of living as the demigods. This proud tendency is certainly an obstacle in the loving service of the Supreme Lord and ultimately causes fall down. So any of these material modes, if we remain in those, we cannot serve the Lord. Those in goodness, they can understand to some degree, but the problem is they're so much satisfied in their life that they don't want to do anything more. And even if they want to do it, they want to worship the demigods. Because then they want to go higher up to have the same standard of life as the demigods. And those in the passion, they're working so hard in the material life, they don't have time for anything else. In fact, those in the passion, they are the ones, generally, they come into bhakti. Why? Because they treat Krishna as also a demigod. So they passionate people, they just want more and more and more and more. So somehow or other, if they come to Krishna, okay, Krishna, you give me this, give me that, give me that. So they do bhakti also with the same sense of, let me get more and more and more and more. Of course, once they have come to the platform of bhakti, then it is up to Krishna how much to give them and how much not to give them. It's all up to Krishna. But they are the ones generally who come to bhakti. Ishtaveha devata yagya gatvaran sayamahe divi tasyant ihi bhuyasvam mahashala mahakula evam pushpitaya vacha vyakshipta manasam nram maninam chati lupthanam madvartapi narochate. The worshippers of demigods think we shall worship the demigods in this life, and by our sacrifices we shall go to heaven and enjoy there. When that enjoyment is finished, we shall return to this world and take birth as great householders in aristocratic families. Being excessively proud and greedy, such persons are bewildered by the flowery words of the Vedas. They're not attracted to topics about me, the Supreme Lord. So this is the demigod worshipper's thoughts. Real pleasure is found in the transcendental form of the Lord, who is the supreme Cupid, engaging in pastimes of love in the supreme spiritual world. Neglecting the eternal bliss of the Lord's pastimes, the foolish worshippers of the demigods dream of becoming like the Lord, but they achieve exactly the opposite result. In other words, they continue perpetually in the cycle of birth and death. And it just cannot happen like this. Okay, let's go to heaven and then come back and then again enjoy aristocratic families, how great birth is there and this and that. It doesn't work like that. But since they are not interested, their minds, their vision is all clouded, and they don't get the right teacher also to teach them the right knowledge. But even if they're following the Vedas, so sooner or later, one lifetime or some other lifetime, they will come in touch with some devotee of the Lord. So anyway, I guess I can stop here. I'm feeling a little tired today. So we'll stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments.
you
Okay,
feel
you
well.
all have. Yes, Mata.
Yeah. Hope you feel well. Yeah.
Thank you, Mata.
Take
Thank you.
some rest. Bye bye.
Okay, you all have a safe and wonderful day.